such sights to show you. Fingers.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Daymares podcast, where I am the pan fluid playing Axel Spencer, and I'm joined by...
You've got me on edge now. I'm trying to think of one better. The dual guitar wielding harmonica singing.
Oh, Jesus. My pan flute doesn't sound so cool anymore. But right, we're doing something a bit different this week. Or well, this time. It is not a weekly thing. We are ranking a horror franchise, and it's something I hope we'll get to do more in the future. And this time we are ranking the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, which I would say is probably my favorite horror franchise.
Really?
I mean,
I find that surprising. I thought Halloween.
I haven't seen enough of Halloween's to say that. The only really I've seen many of in horror franchises Final Destination. Friday the 13th, but that's just no. yeah. It's Nightmare is has a special place in my heart despite all of its flaws as a franchise, which we are going to get into. So yeah, we're basically going through our least favorites, though it's our favorites in the 7-part original franchise. We're not counting Freddy vs. Jason or the 2010 Nightmare remake, because those are just gash. We will not talk.
They're
not talk about them.
We know they're there. It's like that cousin you see at Christmas, and we know they exist.
Yeah,
but
they're
you
not.
Don't want to see them.
There's a different. We're talking about Nightmare canon.
Yeah,
I think Freddy vs. Jason is part of the canon, but it lacks certain elements that just made the original franchise, to me, so appealing, even when they got really bad.
Well, wasn't that just like a cash cow film? We went, hey, this film kind of did well, this film kind of did well. If you put them two together, they'll explode, and it didn't.
I mean, it was kind of like the first big cinematic universe, in a sense, because there were different franchises. It was a big thing. It was massive. And it was in the making for over 10 years, because I think it was in 89 Friday the 13th, around that time, maybe the early 90s, when they teased that whole premise in a Friday the 13th film. And then they made it in 2003, was it?
Yeah, so it's like early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was hyped for a long time, and I feel it got released far too late, and it was just far too shite.
to release a film like that 10 years, well, pretty much 10 years.
Yeah.
After the last film.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is the latest Nightmare film had been in 94. Friday the 13th had been going on. I think 2000 was Jason X. But that franchise was, kind of lost its track as well.
Wasn't Jason X the one where they went into space?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. Where he was frozen, wasn't it? Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah. Yeah. That another interesting franchise that I would be open to going through that as well.
I'm not watching 9 films of shit in one film. That's decent. You can.
I mean, even the decent one in that isn't really that decent.
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll find something else. And have you ever seen the Nightmare remake?
Seen bits of it. I've never actually sat down and watched it, because when I saw it, I thought, well, when I heard about it, I was like, okay, this is just one of those things that isn't really needed. And they're just trying to bring it back because they know it can be an easy money spinner. And then when it came out, everyone, this is shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's made by Platinum Dunes, which is the Michael Bay production company, and they made several very poorly received horror remakes in the 2010s and 2000s, I think.
Which was the other
So,
one?
yeah. I think they made Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. I don't think they made Bloody Valentine. I'm gonna actually need to kind of double check. I mean, they've certainly gotten better with their horror genre recently. I mean, Platinum Dunes was behind Quiet Place 2, maybe even 1.
Really?
I was surprised when I went to the cinema to watch that, and there was like, oh, this is Platinum Dunes production.
That might explain why Michael Bay's in Quiet Place 2.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because well, spoilers. Well, do you know the bit of the docks?
Yeah.
He's the guy in the bit.
Oh. Did not recognize him.
No, like, but when I watched the credits after the film, I was like, Michael Bay? What the fuck?
Oh, that's a weird thing. Amityville Horror. They remade that as well with
Jesus.
Ryan Reynolds. He's just too hunky and sexy of a man to be believably from the 1970s.
Yeah, I think if you're going to need someone to play that film, you need them to be a little bit rough around the edges, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Like on a gruffy beard and like almost a beer gut, but it's kind of like almost it's kind of between six pack and beer gut. That's like the sexy 70s look.
Smokes like 2 packs of cigarettes a day, drinks a bottle of whiskey at night, and somehow still in decent shape.
Hits all the women. Yeah, that's the 70s look. But maybe we should talk about the actual subject of the matter.
Maybe we should talk about a child molester instead of a woman beater.
Actually, according to the original canon, it wasn't until the remakes that Freddy Krueger became a child molester. He was a child murderer.
Oh, slightly.
But that's
slightly
a
better,
whole different
I suppose.
thing. Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about that. So, Adam, start away. What was your number 7 pick as the 7th best in the original Nightmare?
I think seventh best is politely putting it. So, for me, a lot of the later ones, they're very interchangeable. Like, I've had quite a difficult time deciding which is the worst one.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm going to go with The Dream Child. So that's number 6.
Yeah, that was my 6th pick.
So not really?
Too far off. Yeah. But yeah, you know, what was your opinions when you watched it not too long ago?
I watched it yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, for context of your listeners to this, we were meant to record this on Saturday, but I forgot track of time and had to squeeze in 5-6 films in the space of 4 days.
Oh, and it was all the worst ones as well.
Exactly. So I won't lie, I numbed out towards the end. So yeah, I mean, it starts off strong, I think, because it's quite funny and it doesn't take itself too seriously. Yeah, which I think the others kind of do. You try and there are moments where it's obviously not serious, it's not played for laughs or anything like that. But it always straddles the line. Where this one, the opening is quite funny because it's a guy in a plane, scared of heights. He doesn't want to look out the window. He's complaining about not being able to move seats, and the person sat next to him goes, "Don't be a pussy," and then next thing you know, she gets blown out of the airplane. And I find that quite funny.
Do you know what's funny about this?
Go on.
You're not talking about Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street 5. You're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 6. Freddy's dead.
Oh, excuse me.
So is the movie that you want to talk about? Is it the one where Freddy has a grown-up child he is trying to find? or the one where one of the dream warriors, so to speak, are pregnant with a young kid?
That one.
Okay, so yeah, that's Dream Child. The intro you just described is from Freddy's
It's
Dead.
the end one. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
You know what it's doing? I've got my notes, and I was looking right at the bottom of the notes. I've got my list, and I've mixed the two together there. So
I mean, those are very, because they're both dealing with kind of like children of Freddy's or one of the characters. Yeah, I can see why you mixed those two up.
yeah, so with that one, that to me, it's just like somebody really ran out of ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it's like just the idea of having that kid in that role is so cringy, and it was just, yeah, no, they shouldn't have gone with that plot line. Like, no disrespect to the kid, because kid actors are just children, but that was just horrible idea from the whoever came up with it.
Like, the things I like about it, it's got a fucking great tagline to the film. It's A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, Freddy Delivers. Which I read that and I thought, whoever wrote that, I hope they're still knocking around, and I hope they're still making taglines. That to me is brilliant.
Yeah.
But so at first I thought it was quite interesting. Do you know, now that I'm thinking about this, I might actually say it is Freddy's Dead that might go last now that I'm saying.
Yeah, that was my 7th. That was my last one. And it's not by much, but yeah.
Exactly. Because I think like the last couple of Nightmare on Elm Street films, they're very like you can swap and change which one's worse on any given day. But
well, I think Freddy's Dead and Dream Child are both like at the very bottom. Like, especially Freddy's Dead gets so hokey and so kind of cartoony. It's like full on Looney Tunes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, in Freddy's Dead, there's literally a line where that kid is walking in like the juvie, like an orphan home. He's sleepwalking, and then he walks into a room where a version of his dream self is there, and he says to himself, "Free me, you fucking idiot, and your memory." Which to me, like, you've watched Garth Marenghi, haven't you?
The what?
Garth Marenghi, The Dark Place.
No.
Oh, you need. Right, we'll talk about that later. So, have you ever heard like that quote that gets thrown around it now and again that says, "I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards."
Yeah, I was just about to quote that.
It's literally that scene. Like, for it's like the shittest detective story you've ever seen. It's somebody who's obviously watched Twin Peaks and gone, "Oh, I could do anything like that. I'm straight down here." And then, and it's the fact that when they even reference it in the film, when where someone says, "Oh, this is like Twin Peaks," you go, "For fuck's sake!" Like, you don't have to slam it in my face. I know.
Yeah, and so like the premise of The Nightmare on Elm Street 6, Freddy's Dead, is basically that there's no more children in Springwood, where these movies take mostly place, and now Freddy needs to bring back his child alongside with other kids to kill again. But when they get there, suddenly he can kill everywhere else as well. But that's basically it. So that we follow this character we think is Freddy's child. Plot twist, he's not. And it's just...
the most obvious plot twist, I thought.
It's so stupid and so needless. Like, there's no point to it. I like, what... I just don't see what the point of that whole twist is.
I think it just goes back to the Twin Peaks thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where they go, well, David Lynch did quite a good plot twist in that. Maybe we can do it. And it just falls on its arse. I mean,
yeah.
Like, what baffles me, and this is a thread throughout the entire franchise, but this one really baffles me, is just how many things aren't properly followed through, or baffling things where, like, for an example, a child has a pipe bomb, and the police go, "Naughty boy, you shouldn't have a pipe bomb." That's it. Like, if a child has a pipe bomb, you fucking throw him in prison. like in that film, he says that he's blown up his dad's garage, and somehow he's not in prison.
Yeah,
and it's it's the stuff like that when you go, here's this really stupid thing, and we're going to leave it at there.
Yeah, the logic doesn't quite follow through in most of these, and especially this one. It's such a drag, really, to go through, because like none of the actors are great, apart from the very legendary, rest in peace, Yaphet Kotto, who is wasted in this film in his role.
You can kind of tell as well. That's the funny thing.
Yeah, but I mean, I admire like those legendary and esteemed actors who give their all in these trashy horror movies. It's always such a delight, even if the film is just trash. But rest of the cast is... The kids are okay sometimes. I quite like Carlos's character, who is the deaf one. I quite like that actor. I think he's quite funny with his presentation. But the main lead, the woman who turns out to be, spoiler alert, Ferry's child, is... Oh, God, no.
Like,
easily the weakest lead in any Nightmare film.
Oh, definitely. I mean, she. When I watched it, like it's like somebody. What's that character from X-Files? Who Gillian Anderson, is that her name?
I remember one of them was called Mulder or something.
I can't remember which is the man or the woman, but like it kind of feels like somebody went, like, this is the type of person you want to play in this. And she didn't understand the role at all.
Yeah,
went,
but I think
but
I'd say it's probably also fault of the director, because mostly when actor isn't doing well, it's fault of the director, because that director really needs to guide the actor. They can't just do magic. So I always... And like the thing is, I don't know what Rachel Talalay, who's the director of this film, has done other than this film, but she was the producer in earlier Nightmare films. So like, I really don't know how much, what's the word, experience she had in directing before this, but it's kind of lacking with certain direction.
Well, I'm just having a Google now, just since you said, and honestly, if you've heard of any of these films, fair play. So she was in, and to be fair, now that I'm flicking through, there's a couple of films I can recognize. A Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting.
Never heard of that.
Nope, that was released last year. Tank Girl.
No.
That was 1995. Ghost in the Machine.
No.
Nope. Never Sleep Again.
I mean, that sounds like a Nightmare on Elm Street documentary.
To be fair, now that I'm looking at the poster, you might be right.
Yeah, because that's the rhyme they go through.
Yes,
like,
it is.
1, 2, Freddy's... What is it? 1...
1, 2, Freddy's...
Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4... Better lock your door. 5, 6... Grab a crucifix. 7, 8...
This is the one I always struggle with.
Yeah.
I get the crucifix.
Don't stay up too late, is it?
We're going to get
10.
slaughtered.
I mean, you can just roll the rhyme on over this in the edit. But yeah, I mean, what was the name of the doco again?
Never Sleep Again.
Yeah, that's 9, 10. Never Sleep Again.
4 hours. 4 hours.
Oh wow.
What the fuck? I'm not watching. I was going to watch it at first, and I thought, 4 hours.
I'm actually still interested. But there's another really interesting Nightmare on Elm Street documentary that we're going to go into I haven't seen it, but we maybe mention it when we get to the movie that it's kind of dealt with. But there's a lot of this kind of stuccos about Nightmare on Elm Street, like lots.
Yeah.
But yeah, this yeah. So Rachel Talalay, I'm glad she's still doing work. I'm really glad, and I like this. If these like her earlier films, you know, nobody's first film is amazing unless you're Ari Aster or Robert Eggers or Jordan. Well, normal people don't make great movies when they start, and it's fine. You have to make mistakes before you make something good.
Yeah. But in Freddy's Death,
Yep.
There's two things that I want to talk about, and I do genuinely believe there's a great story in there. So at the start, well, roughly at the start of it, the therapist. Excuse me.
Yeah. You are excused.
Oh, excuse me. So he like mentions about some poster on the wall where it's about like some like Mayan temple where they said like there's some spirits that will infect a person, and when they infect that person, that person can then travel between dream and reality.
Oh, God.
And you kind of go, right, okay, we're now learning origin stories at the final film. You definitely run out of ideas, but that's quite cool.
But I mean, the thing, the concept is cool, but it's also like this is like the origin we're giving Freddy Krueger now. Than when like it's been different for like last 5 movies, like kind of like he was just kind of cursed and shit, and now it's like suddenly he's doing this because of Mayan ritual because some demons talk to him, and it's like the whole bit when you see those demon heads or whatever is so bad. They look so bad. Oh, it's just God.
To be fair to it, it's like 1990s. Like,
don't do it then. Like, there's some really good effects all over Nightmare Elm Street films.
Mainly practical effects.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like this. I'm trying to remember if this had like in Carlos's death scene. I think that there's some really fun effects on the ear and stuff.
Yeah.
The video game sequence is fucking horrible. Oh my God.
This is what I mean when the film's going to go like you run out like this now. You obviously don't want to be doing this, but like when he turns around, to looks dead into the camera and goes, "Nice graphics."
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's a shit film, but it does make me laugh.
Yeah, I mean there are certain funny points for sure. It's kind of like treading on that so bad it's good with a lot of stuff, and there's certainly a few actually funny bits. And like the flying house bit and like dropping from the sky, I think those effects were pretty good from what I remember.
And the Wizard of Oz scene.
Yeah, that's just so stupid. But it's like again, like oh God.
But yes, like I'm going to change it. So like Freddy's Death is the worst one.
It with all like the few good things, it really doesn't weigh the balance from all the bad that film offers.
Oh no, it's just one of those films where you watch it and kind of go, who said yes to this? Like, it at times just feels like it was an easy payday for some people, like especially England,
England, I think, yeah.
And because obviously he's made a decent amount of money from this.
Yeah, but the thing with Robert Englund as well is he's still giving a full-on 100% energetic performance in this one. Like, he always does that, and it's so admirable. And he's, like, even through all the shit, he's always the highlight of these films.
Yeah, like, you can tell he loves that character.
Yeah.
Like, well, even though the character's a bit of a fucking weird, but, like he loves playing that character.
For sure. So
I was going to say,
yeah.
So, what is your 6th least favourite?
Well, actually, at first I want to do something with each film. How would you rank this from 10 finger knives out of 10?
My initial reaction to it is 2.
Ooh. I would have given 3.
Yeah,
But yeah, along the same line.
Like, there are just stuff in the film where, like, reading my notes now, there's like one good bit in there where I've put like the fall down the hill at the start of the film is pretty gnarly. Like, the stunt person for that must have had a bad day.
Oof.
Because like that, it's literally it goes on for a while. Like, I'm sure it goes on for about a good minute. So unless they did one fall down a hill 2 or 3 times and just like edit it together so it makes it seem really long.
From what I've understood about stunt performances, that he probably had to do it like 10 times.
Yeah. But that's like the only other thing that I can talk about in the film is that it tries to talk about childhood trauma and mental illness, and it completely fails.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is...
two fingernails.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Nightmare on Elm Street 6, Freddy's Dead, ranked. Moving on to what I had on 6th, which is probably what you now have on your 6th, is Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child. From, I didn't actually have the wrong year here, so it's from even 89 or 90.
It's one of the two. They were pretty much making them like once a year, weren't they?
Yeah, because the first one came in 84, and we're now on the 5th one, and it's already 89. Yeah, so Jesus, it's quite a pace. So, the premise of this film is the main character from the 4th one, Dream Master, is pregnant with a child that Freddy has kind of taken over of and trying to get into the real world through. I don't remember the logic behind it. It's fucking stupid from what I remember.
There is no logic behind it. That's the problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, this has a lot of similarities, a lot of the same problems as this Freddy's Dead. As in, it's just the logic kind of escapes a lot of the time, and it's just so stupid. It's just, I mean, like one thing I've written here, which is a problem with the few of these, is all the characters have like 2 traits that they repeat, or even like don't even necessarily repeat. It's like. Oh, hang on. What characters did we have in this one? It's
I am the lazy one. I am the lazy.
There's like oh god, I think this one had the model who had mummy issues, and then we had the character guy, and then we have the girl who was like swimmer and also worked at a hospital. Yeah. It's like they're given 2 traits and that's their personality. And it's just, oh god.
So essentially, it's an 80s slasher horror film.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to watch this film for the characters, just don't. There aren't any.
So, one of the things I've written for this is like, find it hard to give a shit about this film because of how shit and stupid it is.
Yeah, it also has like few pretty bad visual effects with stop motion. That's kind of like the first one when I actually like really wasn't a big fan of the effects. And the fact like they kill off probably the best character at the start, and even that best character isn't like the greatest, but like the Dan character, I felt like quite sympathetic from the previous film from Dream Master. I think that was like pretty nice character. It wasn't the typical jock. It was kind of like actually had kind of heart and was, you know, nice character, I'd say.
Yeah.
And he dies right at the start, but at least he has a really cool death scene, and that's probably the strength of this film. The death scenes are really cool, mostly. Yeah. Mostly.
Like, is it Freddy's Dead or this one where the guy in like, I think it's this one where he's in a comic book.
Yeah.
It's this one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I can remember watching that thinking, Jesus Christ. But like,
it's ridiculous, but I'm at the same time kind of like, that's really well made.
Exactly. Like, you're watching it going, it's a shit idea, but you've done it really well.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a pretty cool sequence. Even like it's stupid. It's so stupid, but I just enjoy for the effects.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one thing that I do like about this is it's goth as fuck.
Yeah.
Like that intro it just screams gothic horror, and then it's also insanely dark.
Yeah, it is quite dark.
Like, and I read a bit after the film, after I watched it, where it was originally going to be like an X-rated film. Like, it wouldn't have got a cinema release.
Oh, wow.
And then, because the director, who is...
Stephen Hopkins.
Yes. Because he said, like, a lot of the good parts of that film were left on the chopping board.
I mean...
Which sounds like an excuse to me.
Unless they made the characters interesting and the plot good,
Yeah.
I doubt it.
But he's... Go on.
But yeah, like the death scene of that model girl who has the mommy issues when she gets stuffed with food, it's quite gross. And especially given like the character is, from what I remember or understood, suffering from some sort of bulimia.
Yeah.
So that is just vile.
And she comes back late in the film, doesn't she? Well, like, quote unquote, comes back where like he throws her body on the floor.
Might be, I'm not sure actually.
Like it's one of those moments that confuse me because it looks like her dead body with like those puffy cheeks, and it's the bit where like he throws her body on the floor and it turns back to porcelain.
Could be. It's been a while since I saw this, but that's kind of rings true.
Yeah,
I remember.
But like, so it's this one that has the great tagline, like which I think is why. I've bumped it up slightly because that tagline,
just for the tagline.
Yeah, that tagline is brilliant. I love that so much. But the big issue with this film for me is that it's just too bonkers.
Yeah, it's just in no reality of or realm of logical anymore. It's really starting to get to that like Freddy Krueger at its most cartoonist.
Yeah.
Or cartoony, rather. He's not the one making the cartoons, technically. So yeah, it's kind of like gets really wacky with his kills. Which is, of course, he's remembered for those great kills and the one-liners.
Oh.
But yeah, it just goes so far and beyond.
I mean, we'll come on to my favourite one-liner later. But yeah, I mean, like literally, like just to quickly go through the notes. One of them is like it's so uninteresting, and the next one is utterly fucking pointless.
Yeah, it doesn't really. I feel every movie after a certain point started kind of like having any point or stopped having any point, and this is like certainly one of the most guilty of that. It's just, yeah, why does this movie exist?
Exactly. Like to me, like this should have stopped at maybe the third one.
Yeah, I do agree. Like fourth one does have, like I understand kinda why and how they could have continued it, but they completely kind of stumbled with that as well.
Yeah,
and we'll get into that probably soon. But
so,
yeah, it's no.
So what are you rating this one then?
I've given this 4 finger knives out of 10.
I would maybe go one lower. Actually, no, I'll give it a 4 for the tagline.
Oh.
just for the tagline.
Yeah, and there's like the death scenes are really the meat of this. That like Dan's character, like I said, I liked, but it's a shame he gets killed off at the start. The kid is just, I feel sorry for that kid. Why is he here? But then, Adam, what is your number 5?
Right, so I think this is where we might start deviating a little.
Oh.
So I have the second one was just escaping my mind. What's the second one called?
Freddy's Revenge.
Yes, Freddy's Revenge.
Okay, that is interesting because I did have it in a different position.
So what is your...
My number 5 is Dream Master, so number 4. But I do kind of see why you have number 2 in a different spot, because that's what I felt initially when I watched it. And
it just feels like that was just a sequel for the sake of making a sequel. Like someone went, oh Christ, we made a lot of money on no budget on the first one. What if we give it a little bit more money and make a second one? That's what it felt like.
Yeah. It certainly kind of has that feel to it, but like I feel like left thinking about this, the director had some interesting ideas given the franchise like that.
Yes, I
what kind of escaped me is the fact that is a queer horror film, not in a straightforward way, which also brings upon the problem. Okay, so
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so this is there's a lot of like homosexual undertones and subtext in this film.
Yeah.
Just basically Freddy is trying to get inside the body of this guy, first male lead of the franchise, only male lead of the franchise, who's, teenage kid, and to get into the real world, killing people through that. And he has this really nice bromance with another kid, and he actually jokes about that, like in one scene, like he's over there with him instead of, screwing with his girlfriend. And the lead actor was gay, or is gay, and he was closeted at the time of that film was being made. So that was very kind of difficult project for him, and that's where the documentary I was talking about earlier, I think, if I remember correctly, is called Scream Queen. Because he screams like rival those of like the best of Scream Queens.
Yeah. Like there are some moments in that film where you gave 100%.
Yeah. I mean I really like that actor in this film. He's
he is a bit of a shining light in it.
Yeah. It's not like the greatest performance you've ever seen, but you can just see him like really putting the effort in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street is the documentary. Released in 2019. Something I really kind of wanted to watch for quite some time, but haven't got around to.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that.
But yeah, this film, like, for me, it was 4th.
Oh, really?
So it's not like too far off. But it's like there's like a lot of that kind of like subtextual messaging that I really enjoy, because you don't really get much of that in Nightmare films.
I mean, to be fair, I got 4 as my 4.
Yeah, so we kind of like switched places.
Yeah. So we're not too far off. I mean,
yeah.
The reason why I put this one lower is... One big reason is I don't like the scripting. I don't like it. Well, it's either the scripting or the editing. Like, if I was to say rugby ball editing, would you know what I mean?
Kind of, I suppose, yeah.
Whereas, like, if you throw a rugby ball, you don't know where it's going to land. And that's the same with this film. Like, it jumps from one scene to another scene.
Yeah.
And
I remember thinking that, like, there's no flow.
Exactly. And it breaks the flow of the film. It breaks the pace of it. Like, there's literally one scene where he's in like a club where his gym teacher is, and next thing you know, they're back in the gym.
I mean, that I do understand. That's a logical cut to me. But then there's this like we cut from Daisy and talk with someone to he's suddenly waking up from a dream and stuff. So there's a lot of like very abrupt cuts. And it is, I think, probably the most slow-paced, if I remember correctly, out of the franchise.
Do you think? Because this is the shortest one. This is under an hour and a half, where the other ones...
Oh, really?
Well, I say the shortest one, like, they're all pretty long films. They all hover around an hour and a half, but this is one, like, that's under an hour and a half.
Oh. I mean, I could remember wrong, But yeah, that's certainly the editing. I remember being a bit of a issue for me when I first saw it, and well, still is probably the weak point of the film.
Yeah, and it just completely takes you out of it for me. Because you'll jump from one scene where you're thinking about one thing, next thing you know, you're in another scene thinking about another thing, and it's like the problem with Batman vs Superman. He's got that exact same problem where Batman would be talking about his mum, he'd be talking about Superman. So the next logical scene would be, look, what is Superman doing? But instead, you'll go somewhere completely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I do like about this one, though, this might be an odd thing to say. It kind of seemed like a shit Stanley Kubrick film.
Oh.
Like, a lot of the camera work reminded me of The Shining. Like, I know The Shining was released roughly the same time? Like a few years prior?
I mean, this came out in 1985, Shining came in 1980.
Yeah. So it does kind of seem like someone watched that film and gone, I like that camera work. And there are scenes where, like, that gym scene, the camera in there just kind of seems to me like it's a Kubrick film that moment for me. But a very shit one.
So this is like if Stanley Kubrick made a Nightmare on Elm Street, this is it.
It's if Stanley Kubrick made a Nightmare on Elm Street and didn't give a shit.
I mean, this was directed by Jack Shoulder, not that far off from Jack Torrance. So maybe maybe we can get a moon landing involved in this conspiracy, and it's like comes full circle.
Maybe one.
Yeah. But another thing I really liked about this is probably one of the darkest Freddy depictions in the franchise. It's not really the wisecracking Freddy yet, because this is the second one. So it's kind of still finding its place and role, and it's much darker in this.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, the effects are okay.
Yeah.
Not the best. Not the worst. But that scene where he bursts out from inside the main character,
incredible,
Jesse, in the bedroom, it's like you can see it's a fake body, but it's so fucking
it doesn't matter.
cool. Yeah, when I was watching, I was like, whoa.
Like, it has some great body horror moments.
Yeah.
Like, and that's like a thread throughout most of the films. I mean, the fourth one has like amazing body horror moments, which is I think why I put it a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like the moment where you're watching this and going, you had something here.
Yeah.
Like, there were good people working on this.
Absolutely.
So why is second higher than fourth for you?
Because, well, I have more issues with the fourth one. Like, my biggest issue, which is, I don't know, a bit weird, but they're recasting Patricia Arquette, which, from my understanding, is completely normal and natural reasons. But still, it's just, she was so brilliant in Nightmare 3. Tuesday Night is a fine actress, but she's not that character.
A great name, though. I want to stress that. Whoever, like, her mum and dad, I mean, I'm assuming it's a stage name, but let's pretend it is.
Yeah.
Fucking great name.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, when that came up in the opening credits Tuesday night, I paused it and went, fair fucks.
And the thing with, like, the fourth one is, I'm like, there's no bias or anything, because this is made by Finnish filmmaker Renny Harlin, who I admire. Even through all his flawed films, he's such a massive inspiration for me as a Finnish filmmaker, for him to make it to Hollywood, make it actually big in Hollywood. I admire that man. But this film, and that's like, this film does have some good stuff going for it. The visuals are some of the best in the franchise.
Exactly, and also, one thing I will point out, where did is it Patricia Arquette, where she takes the sleeping pill, where her mum drugs her?
Yeah. The Tuesday Night in this one.
Oh, excuse me. So in Tuesday Night in that one, where she takes a sleeping pill. The camera work in that moment is fucking brilliant.
So good.
Like that to me, where everyone came up and set on that day and decided to bring their best game.
Yeah.
And the other days didn't matter, but this day, let's actually give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's really where, like, Rennie Harling shines. It's like the story, you can kick it out the window, doesn't care. But the visuals and how he kind of, like, controls the scene with the camera is really good in that scene in particular, but in many other scenes as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the reason why I have 4 slightly higher is maybe because, like, I think a lot of the practical effects in this one are Cronenberg-esque, I thought.
Yeah. The cockroach scene is...
Yeah. Like, it's not a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but those practical effects, like, stop it from being a dog shit film.
Yeah.
Like, it is one of those where you go, don't watch the film for anything, like, don't watch the film for the story, because, like, one of the notes I put on this is, like, I thought Freddy's origin story gets told in every film, just like Spider-Man's.
Yeah, that is the issue with the franchise. It gets so repetitive. And they, like, keep adding little things, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, and, like, one thing in this one as well, in 4, I keep forgetting the titles of the film. It's Dream Warrior, isn't it?
Dream Master is 4.
Oh, Dream Master, excuse me. Is Freddy, his threat feels more present in this film.
Yeah.
In the other films, well, especially the early one, 2, 3, and especially, he's kind of in the background a little bit more. Like, he pops up every now and again, but for the most part, he's just very much in the background, and you'll see him maybe for 15, 20 minutes in the entire film.
Yeah, I guess you could say he's kind of like playing with the victims in those, when he's really preying on them.
Yeah.
And this does have some, like, really cool death scenes all around, apart from one. Can you guess which one? Do you know which death scene is fucking shite?
No. I've got it in my head, but I can't.
The karate fight scene.
Oh!
Where the kid fights Invisible Freddy.
I've got it on note on here. Kung Fu Dream Scene is fucking bonkers.
I mean, do you know where that happened?
Why? So I'm assuming he wasn't available in the set that day.
They ran out of budget. That's it. They had, like, no budget. They had filmed the death scene, or the funeral scene with that character. So they're like, oh shit, we have to kill him off. So that's the solution, and it's horrible. The worst death scene in all of franchise. So stupid.
Like, even... Okay, fair enough. Like, there's no budget, so you can't have Robert England on set, can you? Because he's obviously really the most expensive person on there. So
I don't know. I don't know if that's the really issue. I reckon England would have done, like, one-day shoots for, the money he had been paid already. But I think it's just like they couldn't really.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, but it's like they probably couldn't have a set piece kind of death. Like, they couldn't have a set or, props or effects or anything. So they just did that.
Yeah, okay. My only thought on that one, excuse me, is whether his agent would have let him.
Yeah.
Because then his agent probably wouldn't have got paid for it.
That is true.
But, like, there are some things I want to mention. It's like, there are lots of bonkers bits in this film. Like, and as the franchise goes on, it does take a lot of liberties in what is a dream.
Yeah.
Like I know in Inception, Christopher Nolan, like, they had a motto on set where if something wasn't working properly, or if something wasn't spot on, he would go, who cares? It's a dream. In this one, they really don't give a shit if it's a dream or not.
Yeah.
But in most of them, like, a dog taking a piss and opening the gates to hell.
Oh my god. Flaming piss, may I add.
But like,
He was pissing flames. For fuck's sake.
and then he opens the gates to hell. Freddy's skeleton's there,
Yeah.
and now Freddy's back, all because a dog pissed on the floor.
Yeah. It's so, and like that sequence also one of my biggest problems because they kill off the main characters from the previous film in the first act, which, you know, it's like these are the characters we know. These are characters we kind of sympathize with. Hey, how about we kill them? Here's these new characters who have, again, 2 personality traits. One of them is, you know, gym junkie and hates cockroaches. Cool. One of them has asthma and is, you know, bit of a nerd. Awesome.
Yeah. Right.
But at least we have Dan. Dan is cool.
So with this conversation now, are you still like saying 2 over 4?
Absolutely.
No, you're saying 4 over 2, aren't you?
4 is my number 5th, and 2 is my number 4th.
Right. Okay. So it's the opposite way around from me. So you're right. Okay. So I think we'll put, because I don't want to budge on that.
Yeah. No, that's fine. What rankings would you give these? How many finger knives?
So second one, 3.
3.
Yeah, I think it's so.
Wow.
I just think it's very uninteresting. I mean, yes, obviously you've got the aspect of it being a coming out story. But to me, I just think there are moments of that film that are so pathetic. Where like the first film seems like an almost goofy art house B horror, like a bit of a B movie. This one just feels like a bad horror of the course horror film.
I feel in its way, the second one does take itself too seriously, given it's a nightmare film.
It takes itself too seriously, but it's also very much. It just feels like it's been. Someone said what's the word I'm looking for? They played it very safe. Like,
all right.
That's my problem with it. To go from the first Nightmare on Elm Street, where to me, like they took a huge risk with that film for me. Like, okay, fair enough. It was made in like a $1 million budget, which in the 80s is fairly big, but for what they managed to do with that, you still have to wonder how they made that film for $1 million. To come into this one, into the second one, to me, I just don't know how you go from something that has like a well thought out planned story, great effects, or what for practical effects, and semi decent writing, and a good pace to it, to another film that has no pace, very erratic editing, and for the most part is just all over the place. Like, there are scenes in the second one where he has to clean his room.
But he does a very erotic dance.
Yeah.
How about the erotic dance?
Like, when I watched that bit, I thought, is this like an advert for the song? Like, I wasn't paying too much attention to the lyrics. So I don't know if there's any kind of like subtext to it or anything like that. But I was watching it thinking, it's very flamboyant, but is there a reason for this?
Yeah.
Like, you could quite easily have chopped that bit out and gone, hey, girl, come over to my house for a bit, will you? Help me tidy my room. Oh, she's now at my room. Like, it could have just like cut that bit out and gone straight to it. And it chooses to go the long way around.
But the thing is, the fourth one suffers from that sort of stuff as well, a lot. And I feel a lot more. The kind of like lack of kind of logic, and I mean, I think it's pace spare, it flows spare, but it's like lacks so much logic. Like there's the thing they go running circles, kind of like they repeat the same sequence, trying to save someone. It's so stupid, and the whole thing, like the character Tuesday Night plays, like throws her powers at Freddy, and they beam from Freddy to the new main final girl. It's oh my god.
Like one thing that does annoy me with all of these films is that at the end of it, Freddy dies, but he returns into the next one. No matter what, he's always there.
Yeah, no wonder that became a trope and kind of a cliche with all the Friday movies, all the Nightmare films. At least in Halloween, I think. Well, in the first one, at least Myers survives for sure.
Yeah.
At least Carpenter had the decency to keep him alive.
I think the primary reason I put 4 over 2 is purely for the practical effects.
I mean, they are. Yeah. Visually, it is really good.
They're the best in the franchise.
Yeah. So what ranking would you give fourth?
Well, I'd give it a 5.
All right. I think I'd give it 5 as well, but I would give Nightmare 2 like 5.5 or 6. So quite a few higher than what you'd give it. So that's the biggest difference we have so far.
Still on a par, similar.
Yeah, I don't hate you yet.
Well, to be fair, I think these next ones are going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is like we're getting into what is considered to be the good Nightmare films.
So what is your third favourite then?
I think this is the one we can agree on still. I'm surprised if we don't, but that's Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yes.
Yes.
So
and this I loved it more than I anticipated to. Like, even through its faults, I still love this film so much. It has a lot of problems, but I just love it.
It feels like someone let the ego get to it a little bit, but at the same time, it's so backwards on itself and so inwards.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of respect for it.
Yeah, I mean, the fascinating thing about this film that came out in 1994, I mean, directed by Wes Craven, a decade after the first Nightmare on Elm Street. It is the prototype Scream, in my opinion.
No, you know what? I can kind of see that.
Yeah, because it's so metatextual. It's so self-referential. Like, you just know, like, Wes Craven had kind of, like, birthed the idea of Scream from this.
Definitely. I mean, the fact that he's actually... Robert Englund plays Robert Englund in this film. Heather
Langenkamp.
Is, she plays Heather Langenkamp.
Yeah. Wes Craven plays Wes Craven. And producer Robert Shea plays Robert Shea, and there's some other producers as well.
But Freddy is now quote unquote real, and so there's a lot to like about it. But at the same time, the reason why this is third for me, and this might go at odds with what I say later on. Heather, I can't pronounce my name. I'm not going to say it. Is not a good actress.
How dare you?
I
think I quite like her acting. She's not like a Meryl Streep, but I do enjoy her. It's not necessarily acting. I just like her charisma, maybe rather.
She feels so wooden to me. That's my issue. It feels like she's turned up, and when you watch like films in the 30s or the 40s or whatever, and it's like, well, how dare you say that to me? That's what it feels like. It's like someone's just read a line and gone, I need to be. How do I be stern? How do I? Oh God, okay. And then they've said the line with the first thing that comes to their head. But one thing, go on.
It's just like, I feel the thing I really like about Langenkamp is just she has a very interesting energy. Like, she's very energetic actor. Like, she's always kind of like pushing that energy, which I really enjoy. And there are some, like, I get the emotion out of her. Like, that's what I really like.
Definitely.
Even if it's sometimes a bit wooden.
Yeah, I mean, throughout all the other films, I mean, she's not as bad as like some of the like acting in the Dream Child, or any of the others. But like, I don't think anybody watches Nightmare on Elm Street for the acting. Like, I don't think anybody's actually come back and gone, yeah, you know what? Acting in that's fantastic.
Yeah. I think it's surprisingly good throughout most of the films. But, like, later on it gets really bad.
Yeah.
Or not even really bad, but pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, just don't get house on those people with professional actors.
I mean, but again, we come to the thing, it's oftentimes as well as director issue. And there's our young people, of course. They're like early 20s. I think Hetta Lagenkamp was 20 when they filmed the first one. And I think she, like, given that, she did really good performance in that one. But also in this one, another central character is the kid, played by Miko Hughes, who, of course, was the Baby Creed in Pet Sematary.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the same kid. Probably not as good in this one as I thought he was in Pet Sematary, but he was like 2 or 3 then, so, you know.
So you can let them get away with it.
Yeah. But I think it's not, again, like necessarily actor issue. Of course, it's a kid. But it's very difficult kid role to play, kind of like going kind of sleep demon thing.
Someone who's been traumatized by a child murder in their dreams.
Yeah, but even those scenes where he goes kind of evil with like Freddy influence, with the like actual knives taped to his fingers. You know, it's just get a bit of like Danny Torrance vibes from.
I was literally gonna say that. I was gonna say Danny Torrance and the kid from Sixth Sense.
Oh right, yeah.
But here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of his new design? Of Freddy's new design in this one?
I think it's like I prefer the original, but
do you?
I do really like this new design. I think if any way it could have gone, this is the best way.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's more fleshed out.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say because he's a character who doesn't really have any flesh.
Yeah.
But
and it's really creepy.
He just looks more menacing. Like,
yeah.
He looks like a genuine threat.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, his whole demeanor is so different from the first film in this, or from any previous films. He's so different.
Like in this one, he's not a guy cracking jokes here and there. He's a guy who's trying to kill you.
Yeah. But that's like part of like the whole Freddy thing. What Freddy actually is in this film is my biggest issue because I think they over-explain it. The whole demon thing from I don't know where it was from. I think they just go too much detail into it, and it just gets kind of like makes no fucking sense.
I mean, yeah, I get that, but at the same time, it's a film about a fictional character from another film coming to life.
Yeah, but I think it would be much better if they kind of like, well, Freddy's real. I don't know why, but I do love the fact that they're trying to kill him off by making another Nightmare film.
Yeah.
And then in the end, what kills him is the film, but the film was real. It's just starting to hurt my brain.
Yeah, it's one of those when you're watching it and find a fairness and thinking what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, let me explain things.
But this is very interesting in the sense that same year this came out, or year before, In the Mouth of Madness came out. The John Carpenter. It's dude, you gotta. It's like often considered to be the last great John Carpenter film, and that's kind of has the whole thing is there's a book this writer is writing that people read and they go insane, and then they kind of like start to switch the book world into real world, kind of like leaking in, like same kind of like metatextual thing. So it's very interesting that these two films came so close to each other, because they're very similar in that context.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, I can't comment on it too much because obviously I haven't watched it. But it's just one of those films, like, A New Nightmare, I can understand why it was made. Whereas the other ones, I can't.
Yeah. The thing is, like, you could go 1, 2, 3, skip everything in between, maybe do 4, maybe, very, very strong maybe, and A New Nightmare. Because I'm very happy Wes Craven got to do this, because he's kind of like getting to say goodbye to his creation, his way. Yeah, because
in the other ones, like, he has a part in them, where it's just like he maybe touched the screenplay here and there, but from what I gather, in the other ones, he's not really present in the making of it. Like, I know he's credited as the screenplay writer in a couple of them.
Yeah, but I think that's just because they're based on his characters.
Yeah. Whereas with this one, like you said, it is somebody going, no, actually, I want to do something proper with this one. I want to go back to this, and I want to do it. I want to do it some justice. And to an extent, he does. But at the same time, I do think he overcomplicates it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For the pure sake of overcomplicating.
Yeah. And I think that's why, like, it was such a great prototype to Scream, because in Scream he kind of perfects the genre. And that's like, you know, Wes Craven is someone I consider to be like one of the 4 cornerstones of modern horror. He's like, given he's made like Nightmare on Elm Street, he's made Scream, he's made what was he made in the 70s? He made Last House on the Left? What was the film? I'm gonna have to check that.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it sounds familiar. I've not watched it, but it sounds familiar.
Yeah, 70s he made like really famous. Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh shit! So he did that for me as well.
He's such amazing mind for horror, and I'm so gutted I never got to meet him, because that would have been a brain I would have wanted to kind of like be influenced by. It's so amazing.
So, what are you giving this one then?
I've given this, what I've marked here is 7.5, but it could be just 7. Like, my biggest issue is the ending. It gets really hokey.
Yeah,
it doesn't really fit the rest of the movie.
Like, there's some great deaths in this one.
Oh, the nanny death is like, actually, it's kind of taken the idea of the original first ever Nightmare on Elm Street death, but kind of amplifying it, giving it a new twist, and I love it.
I mean, there's like the moment you see her hanging from the wall, not hanging from the wall, it's actually being dragged around, isn't she?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to go, like, where was this at the other films?
Yeah. And it's actually terrifying when the nurse is kind of coming and they see it's happening.
Yeah, like that bit is like proper nice and stuff.
Yeah.
People to see something that is happening, but they can't see it, is just great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would give it. I'm calling it a 6 or 7. So I'm going to say 6.5.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You're coming slightly behind me in all these ratings, apart from Freddy's Revenge, but that's fine.
I think like the main problem with all these, like, is like question whether if these films were needed.
Yeah.
Like, I think quite easily have stopped at 1 and not made the others.
Well, I slightly disagree, but only on like the first 3. But even then, like, given I'm quite an avid Nightmare fan, like I said, this is my favorite horror franchise, and you are just seen them, most of them, for the first time this past week.
I've seen like the last couple of ones, yeah. Those are the new ones I've seen. I think I've seen 1 and 3 before.
Yeah,
and I've definitely seen like parts of 2.
Yeah,
but this is like the first time I've actually like sat down and watched all of them.
Yeah. So, I think things are starting to get pretty interesting now. What is your second favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film?
So, I don't think it'll be a surprise to you for what I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's Dream Warriors. Number 3.
I mean, the thing is, Dream Warriors and the original are tie to me. They are 100% equal. I can't choose between those two.
Really? Because I think I think the first one's definitely better.
Oh no. I think they are on the same ground. The thing is, Dream Warriors was the first Nightmare film I ever saw as a kid.
Oh really?
And it's the film that has given me more nightmares than any film ever.
Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
I can understand that. Because that scene where that guy, is it the guy in the wheelchair?
Sleepwalking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it isn't the guy in the wheelchair, is it now?
No. That is the most horrifying death scene in all of Nightmare films, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it is genuinely... It just puts you on edge. Like, yeah, it's like you're watching it and you're like squirming in your seat.
Yeah. So basically, to people who don't know what happens, is there's this character. He's the first death of the film, like 30 minutes in, and Freddy comes to him when he's sleeping in this. It's not juvie.
Like
it's mental hospital, pretty much for kids, like teenagers. So he comes to this kid while he's sleeping, slices his wrists and ankles open, pulling out like tendons of string or something, and puppeting him out of the hospital onto a clock tower or whatever, a church tower, and then dropping him off there, while the other kids are kind of like watching from a window in panic. It's oh my god, amazing, but horrible.
I think the only reason why this one doesn't top the first one is because I do genuinely think there's some awful moments of acting.
Oh really?
Yeah, like the guy who's playing the guy in the wheelchair when he sees the watchtower there, when he's like screaming, going, no, it's just, to me like it just screams like bad acting at times.
I don't remember having issues with any of the actors in this film particularly. Not that I remember, anyway. But, I mean, this one has, of course, Heather Langenkamp returning. And it has Patricia Arquette in a role that Tuesday Night would take over. And I think... I really like pretty much all the characters in this film. And, of course, John Saxon. John Saxon, I think. Is back, who is brilliant. Rest his soul as well. There's too many makers of this film have passed away the last few years. If we lose Robert Englund, I'm not having it.
Oh, it's gonna happen at some point. Sorry to burst that bubble. Like, spoiler, we all die.
No, he's gonna live in my dreams.
But some of my problems with Dream Warriors is, I don't like the acting. I think it's bonkers in some ways, like, but bonkers in a more creative way.
Yeah,
and also things just aren't explained in the film. Like Nancy is now a doctor.
She's a student of.
But she's still like somewhat medical professional, isn't she? In the film.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, she's what's the word? When you start student and you have go to rehearse at a hospital.
Student doctor. That's what we call it.
Yeah, but it's kind of like when you any kind of job, when you work for study for a job, you kind of like spend a few months there, kind of learning.
Do you mean like an apprentice?
She's an apprenticeship of sort of thing in that film. So she's not like actually become a doctor. It's because this is only a few years after the first Nightmare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I remember being confused by that when I first saw it. And the thing, like, this film doesn't overly explain things, which I like. I like films like that. Because, as we know, this franchise goes very much to the opposite direction towards the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see why that would have gone amiss.
Yeah, it's just like she turns up and you go, oh, in the first film you were batshit bonkers, and what? How are you here? Like, how?
Yeah.
What? Like they do some like baffling things. Like, so when they all have the first dream, like that group dream session, where the guy who does like the dungeon master stuff.
Yeah.
Like I am awful remembering characters' names.
Let's call him Nerd.
Yeah, Nerd. Where he. Like the walls showing up like their dream powers, what they can do in dreams.
Yeah.
And he goes, I can turn these like metal balls into like magical butterflies. And everyone kind of goes, oh, all right, yeah, that's great. Christine, what can you do? Oh, yeah, Christine, what can you do? And she goes, I can do backflips. And everyone goes, fucking hell, that's impressive. That.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. Well, what can you do? I'm beautiful. Good on ya.
It's like, you've got someone who can turn objects into animals, and you're not bothered about it, but someone's like beautiful and can do a backflip, and you're like, fucking hell, mate, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some silly stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, I like the characters very much. The who plays Kincaid, so that's the loudmouth, who's the strongman in his dreams. It's just, you know, I just love the bit where he calls out Kruger, because guy, Freddy, pussy.
Yeah.
I just love that. Just the confidence of that delivery.
Like, one thing that I do really like about this one, it gives Freddy more power in the film. Like, he's not just someone who's in a dream and can kill you. Like, there was something going on there. Like, he doesn't explain it. It just goes, oh yeah, he's got these like supernatural powers now. And that to me just makes him a little bit more creepy. Where he's not somebody.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he's in your dream and he can kill you. That's somewhat supernatural. But it just automatically makes him more scary.
Yeah, because in the first one, he was very much, when he was in the dreams, he was very much human-like, kind of like. But in this one, he's like the puppet mastering thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, this movie does have, I think, the best death scenes all around. Like, the TV one is such a classic.
My favourite death scene in anything. Like, that, like how Robert Englund could ad-lib a line so fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, it's in our intro sequence.
Yeah, so you know he's great.
Like, welcome to primetime, bitch. Like, that is just fucking...
I mean,
like,
you have to say it in a Freddy voice, though. It doesn't sound good in, like,
oh,
English,
I know, but...
English accent.
It just sounds more like... I'm about to beat up a woman in an English accent, but that I just don't... Like, it's so weird. Like, you see arms sprouting out of the TV. His head pops out. He grabs her and just says... I can't remember the first line. Like, he says, like, oh, so you want to be a TV actor? Welcome to primetime, bitch. Like, it's so... It's brilliant.
And smashing the head through the glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
But, like, the bit after that as well, where you see her body in the TV.
Yeah.
That is grim.
Yeah, that was, like... And what makes this so grim is because all these characters are there because they've... from what I understand... Well, not all of them, but some of them have tried suicide. And that's what they think this is. They think these kids are killing themselves when Freddy's killing them. And this horrible scene in retrospect, like how well people understood mental illness back in the 80s. When the guy's going, he gave up, he let you down, he let himself down, he let us all down. It's like, whoa. You telling that to people who are suicidal?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, is it Lawrence Fishburne in this one?
Yes.
Yeah. So that, like, I completely forgot that he was in this for a little while.
Yeah.
And then you see him and you go, oh shit.
It's one of those things you see after years and go like, hang on. I know him from somewhere.
You've been in great films and now you're in this. How?
Hey, whoa, this is a great film. Much better than Event Horizon, another horror
Yeah.
film he was in. And of course, like, John Saxon, who's... I think he's very much a genre actor. But, like, the only other thing I can remember seeing him, apart from Nightmare films, is one Dario Argento film. I think it was Deep Red.
I've only ever watched one
uh,
Argento film.
Is it Suspiria?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about Argento at some point, but that's not today.
Very difficult to find his films in the UK.
I bought a DVD set of like 6 of his films. That was but that was on like cdon.com, which is like Nordic site. But I reckon you'd find that set on if you use, you know, any big kind of services that I will not name because some of them are shit and I oppose them. But you know what I mean. I'm sure. But yeah, like the thing, like I said earlier, I didn't even write any notes about this film because I love this film absolutely and utterly, and it gets kind of like hits the right emotional beat for me towards the end when John Saxon's character, Heather Langenkamp's character, so that's Nancy's father dies, and then Nancy dies, which it was a very bold move.
Very unexpected as well. I can remember watching it for the first time thinking, oh shit, that's fair play. Like,
yeah.
You've killed off one of the most important characters in the franchise, so okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So, and of course it's a thing the franchise would, you know, do over and over again in the next few films, killing the main characters, not as good results. So yeah, like the last thing I really like about this film that I want to talk about is I respect their attempts to kind of like talk about mental illness and depression and suicidal tendencies. Like that's not really a subject that's been even today very, you know, researched in film, let alone in horror. So I was very, very happy to see that tackled, even if not in the best of ways in this film.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, like I feel like it kind of goes over my head a little, considering how crass it is.
Yeah, it is for sure.
One thing I do respect is the CG skeleton.
Oh, I mean that's stop motion, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean it looks stop motion for sure. I mean, at that in '86, I highly doubt they would have had the technology for a full CGI skeleton of that quality.
Yeah, true.
But that composition and everything, so good. Like it's very impressive sequence. But again, like the practical effects in this film otherwise are amazing. Like the Freddy worm is really well made. Yeah.
One thing I don't respect about the film is the ending.
Oh, when
the
like the funeral or the dying of the characters, or what do you mean?
So it's like Freddy's dead now, but he's not.
Oh, the light. Oh, I mean, I do low-key love the fact that the light goes on inside the toy house. I think it's very creepy, but of course it's, you know, I could have lived with that franchise ending there.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you could tell they were sequel baiting it, but at the same time, it's you didn't have to be like it.
Yeah, but it's like another thing, just like that whole miniature house is like one of the creepiest, probably one of the like scariest things that were living in my head rent-free around the age I saw the film.
Like, Dream Warriors does so much more. Like, so one big issue I did under the second one compared to the others is because they all start with a nightmare. Dream Warriors does a better job of leading you into the nightmare than any of the other films.
And I love how they tease Freddy, not kind of like fully showing it. It's kind of like see the shadows and see far silhouette and everything. I love that build up.
Definitely.
In the intro sequence.
And it's just one thing that does make me laugh in the intro, like to stay asleep, she's downing a spoonful of coffee with full sugar Coke.
Yeah. I mean, I've written a master's thesis. I've been there. It's hard nights.
But you weren't bloody chomping on coffee, were you?
You don't know me.
Or were you? I don't know.
Luckily not. But yeah, coffee. I'm surprised if no coffee makers sponsored the first and third.
I would be surprised if Coca-Cola weren't sponsored. And anytime they go for like a can of pop, it's always Coca-Cola.
I think there has to be some sort of a sponsorship because I don't think they would be allowed to use the logo.
Otherwise. No, there definitely has to be something there.
Yeah.
So wait, so what? Oh, go on. Yeah.
Oh, are you asking for my ranking?
Yes. No, wait. Yeah, your ranking, sorry.
Yeah. I would I know you're gonna have very different opinion, but I would give this 9 Ninga fines.
I would give this one. I think I'm going to deviate quite a lot from this one. I'm going to give it a 7. Like I love the moments that I love them.
Yeah.
But there are moments that I don't like, and I just don't like them. I don't like the ending. There are the scenes in there where things aren't explained. It is just bonkers in some places, in a good way, but like just properly bonkers.
Yeah.
But it's that one-liner, man. Like, if it wasn't for that one-liner, I don't think it would be as high. I do think maybe a New Nightmare would be higher.
Oh wow!
But that one-liner, man.
Bold.
I think about that one-liner every now and again, and I get like a proper belly laugh.
It is like out of all the horror or like one-liners, Chucky's famous for them and the Leprechaun, but that is the king of all the one-liners.
And it's not even scripted. That's the best bit of it.
Yeah, it's the only improvised Freddy line ever, I think.
It's just perfect.
Yeah, it is.
Every sort of like catchphrase in any kind of like horror film, like slasher film, is like someone's obviously written it down. But the fact that this was a spur of the moment thing, just is perfect.
Oh yeah. Oh. Well, we reached the end.
So what is your
Adam,
top one then?
Well, what is yours? I mean, like I said, like Dream Warriors is my top one, but it's a tie basically.
Yeah.
So Nightmare on Elm Street, the original from 1984, directed by the legendary Wes Craven. It is amazing.
It's so good. One of my notes for I've written is I've forgotten how horny everyone was in the 80s. Because like it is just genuinely one of those like films where everyone's trying to get off with each other.
Yeah. Oh, I feel bad for Johnny Depp's character when like them like
that
he
scene.
and Leggingam's character like their friends go shagging in the next room, and they're just sitting in like behind the wall, kind of go, "I'm not having sex tonight."
I can remember just watching it and you heard him having sex. Fucking alright. So like he actually wrote that into the script. Fair play.
Yeah.
But, like,
I mean, that's like, the genius of Wes Craven, always kind of like, just such a funny bit.
So I think one of the reasons this is my favourite one is because I do have a bit of history with this one. So when I was young, like single digits, maybe like 9.
Mm.
I was in the room, like going through the TV channels to see what was on,
Mm.
and I can remember like coming across a film called Nightmare on Elm Street, and I started watching it, and it was literally like the first, like it just started, like the opening credits had just finished, and I ran downstairs to my mum. My mum is a huge fan of these films, by the way. Like, she loves them. And I said to my mum, like, "Mum, there's this film called Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm sure watch it." Obviously, a 9-year-old watching that film, my mum just went, "No, turn it off." And I went, right, yeah, I'll go and turn it off. Ran back upstairs and watched it.
Oh.
And
yeah, your mum didn't play the cards right there.
And I stopped watching it after about 10 minutes because that dream sequence at the start, it's still terrifying.
Oh, it is, yeah. I mean, like I said, I watched Dream Warriors first. This I saw afterwards, and the first time, so I remember my older brother watching it. I couldn't watch it. I think I was single digits as well. I just couldn't. It was so scary. Yeah,
I mean that part where she's running on the spot.
Yeah.
Like we've all had a dream like that. We've all had a weird dream where we just can't move.
I mean, especially after we've seen this film.
And it's just one of those things. Like you're watching it and thinking, it doesn't make sense. Like she's in like her, what would you call it?
Nightgown.
Yeah, like bedtime clothes before. I don't know. And
Chase.
Yeah. And she's in this boiler room. She doesn't have any shoes on. Like, there's a light at the end of the room that doesn't look quite right. And then these weird, like the sound design in that bit is brilliant.
Oh yeah.
There's like how everything reverberates, how Freddy's like laugh is just in the background and it's echoing throughout. And the moment she sees it and she tries to run away is just perfect.
Yeah.
And it's
the whole intro sequence is so good, especially the titles as well. When it's like he's making the finger glove, I love it.
Oh right, okay. I thought you meant the title card then. So I was gonna say like the title cards for these films are dog shit. Like they are all terrible. But like I do have it on my notes where it's like showing how he made the glove is great.
Oh yeah.
I do genuinely like that. Oh yeah, I think the reason why this one tops it all the others, I think it's more because it's just original.
Yeah.
Where everything
it made such a splash because it came around to a time where slasher films were already kind of becoming very tired and repetitive, and this came along. It was so different.
Yeah, and it's just so genius with how it works things. Like, it knows it's got a shit budget, so how are you going to how are you going to have a room where a bed is pumping gallons and gallons and gallons, or I shouldn't say gallons, I should say litres, really. Sure. Litres of like what I'd imagine is red paint.
Yeah.
Like, that scene where the again I forgot the character's name, where her boyfriend gets in for the murder, where she gets just like plastered all over the room. Like,
yeah.
For what it does, I just think it's brilliant.
But even like I'm still like just confused how they with the small budget they had, they could do that because they had rigged the whole room just go around like in two different scenes as well. It's insane.
It's so good. It's that level of like creativity and ingenuity where people on the set going, this is a good idea. We need to pull it off.
Absolutely.
But like again, there are some things in the film. Like one thing I do want to point out is when Nancy says, "I've had 7 days of no sleep." Like, obviously, I'm sure very little research was done on insomnia.
Yeah.
Like, as somebody who was almost hospitalised because of insomnia, if you had 7 days of no sleep, you'd be in hospital.
Yeah.
Like you would not be talking to people.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, that's kind of like to feel, kind of like to turn into a little bit of film logic on like, it's fine.
yeah, it's one of those things where people go, oh yeah, 7 days no sleep, that'd be really bad. No, it would be crippling.
Yeah.
Like you genuinely wouldn't be able to sleep or have like a proper thought. So it's not a nice thing.
Yeah.
But like, one thing I've got to mention, like in one of the other notes I made for one of the films, I thought, why are all the adults in these films also cunts?
They are. They absolutely are. It's like there's some filmmaker who all his films, adults are always just shits. I don't remember who it was. But that's like all the parents in these films are. But like Nancy's mom,
Oh,
she does all the wrong decisions.
She's a dick.
Yeah.
It's like there's a point where she's speaking to her dad as well, and she goes, "Dad, I'm okay," and it's like you've just seen your mate get cut up. You are not okay. And her parents are going, "Yeah, okay, go to school. I guess you'll be fine. Everything will be fine. You don't worry about it. It's not like you're going to fall asleep in school and have a nightmare at school.
Yeah.
No, you'll be fine." And then she goes and have a nightmare at school.
But that nightmare is
perfect.
Where she's in a body sack and it's, oh my god.
Yeah, it's like each nightmare in this one is so creative.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's based on logic.
Yeah.
Whereas the others, they take a lot of liberties, and as every film goes on, they take more and more liberties with it.
Yeah.
But like that whole past moment is brilliant.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because that's kind of like meddling between reality and dream. Kind of, you're not entirely sure sometimes, but then it's, kind of revealing slowly. Oh, it is a dream. And that's probably why that's franchise always been, especially the first few, so effective, because that's kind of the scariest thing to think, well, I just watched a really scary movie. Yeah, I just watched a really scary movie. I'm just going to go to sleep. It's going to be fine. But hang on. What if it happens in my dreams? It's like I can't even sleep.
Like, as somebody who had a nightmare after watching The Lighthouse, I can definitely confirm that is a thing that happens.
Oh man!
Like a nightmare to which I woke up screaming. I kid you not.
Oh really? Wow!
Like, it was a black and white dream where I was on some stairs and like I say it's inspired by the White House. Like, I'm probably only saying that because it was like black and white, but like it was literally just after I watched The Lighthouse, where a giant crab was like trying to get up the stairs and I couldn't move and I was screaming and I woke up screaming.
Oh, wow. I mean, the thing which probably kind of relates to that whole lighthouse is probably the kind of feeling and atmosphere, because that's something that is the most intense in dreams that you probably can't really explain. And that dream atmospheres in this film are top notch. Like, you really feel the moments.
Definitely. The only thing that I would say is that towards the end, it loses a lot of it.
Yeah, it kind of goes over its head. That's the current phase.
Yeah, it goes so silly with it, where Nancy sees her mum in bed, burnt alive, and then the bed becomes a like portal to the underworld, and her mum gets taken into it.
Yeah. But I mean, it is like the whole, like, we get Home Alone before Home Alone in the like final sequence. She's like trapping the house.
I literally have that in my note.
Yeah, it's so funny when Freddy is actually kind of like struck by these like sledgehammers to the stomach and everything. It's just like, aren't you supposed to be like scary? It's getting beaten up. It's like it's hilarious.
It gets very silly. And again, a lot of the logic goes out the window, because there's a point where across the road, someone's boyfriend has been brutally murdered, and she's screaming in the house, breaking windows, saying, "Someone please help me!" And there's a cop outside going, "She's asking for help." Nah, she'll be fine. and it just ignores it. So like,
Yeah.
I love the film, but the ending I struggle with.
Yeah. I mean, like the first two acts are just almost, I say, perfection.
Yeah,
Towards the end, it kind of starts to lose it a little bit, but I feel it stays enjoyable enough that you
yeah,
can kind of like overlook most of it.
definitely.
But one thing no one can overlook is the fucking blow up Barbara doll pulled out from through the window on the door at the very end. That is like, and it wasn't even supposed to be there. That was like production decision to have that ending. It was, oh my god.
So, have you seen the alternative endings? So there's like a couple of them.
Don't think, not that I remember.
So there's one. There's like, so this is like the, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the theatrical ending. They have one called that is just like alternative ending, where it's very slightly different. Like nothing major's changed or anything like that. And like overall, I think it's just like 5 seconds shorter. Like a few things you can cut out, and that's it. You have the happy ending, where Freddy doesn't do anything. You don't see him.
Yeah.
And they drive off into the distance, and then that's it.
Yeah, that was the ending I think Craven had planned.
Really?
Yeah, like he didn't want that Freddy coming back ending. That was production decision or producer decision.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Because I thought that was a shit ending, so I'm happy with that they forced him to do something else.
I mean, but like I think the ending they went with works up, but the doll being dragged is so bad. It's the worst effect in the whole franchise.
It's just one of those, like, it's that last thing before the film finishes, and it just catches you off guard.
Yeah. It's like the ending to Saint Maud, except it's just shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then there's the scary ending, where Freddy is the one driving the car.
Oh, right.
And then, I think that's it as well.
Yeah.
But
I haven't seen any of those.
Go and watch them on YouTube, and then you'll fully understand why they went with the ending they went with.
Yeah.
Because they're all pretty shit. But the one they went with is the less shit.
Yeah. I mean, at least it gave us like 10 other Nightmare films.
Yeah.
But what rating would you give the first one then?
I'm gonna say 9.
Yeah, I'd say 9 as well.
Like it might have been a 10 if it wasn't for the ending going off the rails, and also the outro credits song is dreadful.
Can't even remember what that was.
It's so dreadful. It's a prog rock song.
Alright.
I might play a bit of it here just for the people listening, because it's genuinely. I can remember like the credits rolled and I forgot about it. I watched it and I was just listening to it thinking, somebody okayed this. Like somebody listened to the song and went, yeah, that's a suitable ending. Yeah, we'll go with that one. Like the music throughout the entire film is like synthy horror.
Yeah.
Like it's synthy,
and
like
it's a great score.
Yeah,
I really like the score.
It's really great, and the ending is just like completely off tempo. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. Oh god. But the thing we haven't really talked about, because it's universal, that I want to bring a few mentions to. Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger is, I'd say, hands down the greatest horror villain. Especially like reoccurring horror villain ever.
Definitely.
Like it beats, like Jason Voorhees is boring as fuck. And Michael Myers kinda as well. Chucky I never really liked, or Leprechaun. He's just too kinda annoying to me. Hellraiser, the Xenobites, they I quite like, but like Freddy he is the greatest of all time.
Would you class a xenomorph as a reoccurring villain?
Because that's an animal. It's like I wouldn't count Jaws. Well, even Jaws isn't reoccurring, but like Oh, look, it's not the same xenomorph either, though. So yeah, like Jaws, I wouldn't count as a like reoccurring kind of villain because they are animals, but more like humanoid kind of creatures.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah. And I think it's very much due to England's theatrical background. He just brought Freddy to life.
Oh,
his mannerisms.
There's so much energy.
Yeah, and it's not just the lines he delivers; it's his whole, like, the way he just holds himself up, the way he walks and like waggles his tongue. It's Freddy.
Yeah,
it's
like,
also Freddy.
I would love to know who else they considered if they considered anyone else. Because
I don't actually know. Because
I just can't imagine anyone else playing Freddy other than him. Like, that laugh he does.
Yeah.
It's just like, the moment you hear that laugh, you can just automatically associate it with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, talking about Jason and Michael Myers, they were played by many different actors. Freddy, up until the remake, was always Robert Englund.
Yeah.
So he
well, I don't think Robert Englund did those kung fu stunts in...
Well, I mean, stunt performers and that aside, of course. Let's see, the story of how Robert Englund almost didn't play Freddy Krueger. Oh, can we find any... I hope this is a long article. I just want to find the names. Actually, there was something that said who was first choice for Freddy Krueger. David Warner.
That is David.
Let's see. David Warner doesn't say anything.
David Warner, that's actor.
Well, that's a good start.
He's an English actor who worked in film, television, and theatre. He's from Manchester. What a lad. Same place as me.
I mean, that is very interesting. Like, I take it they're probably a theatre actor as well.
Yeah.
From, like, starting from, because, of course, it's English, they're all theatre actors. Alright, interesting. But it's I can't imagine anyone else being Freddy. Of course, the remake. I'm gonna have to look up the name of the actor. I can almost say it, but I don't want to say it wrong. So I'm just gonna check it. I think the actor is good. But his Freddy is decent, I guess. But he didn't really fill the shoes.
No, and you're
Jackie
not going
Earl
to...
Haley.
Like, you're not going to either, are you?
Yeah.
Like, as an actor, I'm sure you can try and do a new take, but I don't think at any point are you going to surpass the original. Like, you've obviously got films where the remake is better. I mean, like Scarface was a remake from a 30s film. The one with Al Pacino in it is... Is it Al Pacino? Yeah,
in Scarface.
Is so much better. So it's not unusual. Like, it has happened, but there are just sometimes where you go, nah, don't bother.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the original Nightmare is absolute classic. I don't know about this original Scarface. Was it a classic, or like was it highly regarded? Or...
It was well received. I don't know whether it was one of those things like people look back on and go, look at that film. But I do know it was one of those things where it has like, there was a story there that could have been adapted into something better.
Yeah.
It was one of those like 90s, 30s gangster films in a decade full of gangster films. So it was in the mix of the good ones.
All right. But like the thing with this franchise is, even if you would remake, because you could remake it because of the flaws in the first one, but the problem is no one can ever replace like Robert Englund.
Right.
Freddy Krueger.
I've made a note on this. So I'll just grab my phone again. So I think you can do a new take on the film.
Yeah.
Like,
Me personally, or
yeah, definitely you. I'm going to pitch you the script idea now.
all right.
Rather than focusing on the dream element, you focus on the insomnia.
Right.
So, and you can have it as hallucinations instead.
Mm.
So I think it could be a new take on it, where because I don't know if you've ever had some kind of insomnia. Like, it's a bizarre experience. Like, I can remember walking to work one day on my third day of no sleep, and I started to hear loud popping noises in my ear that sounded like something like car tire popping, and I started to see people in the streets that weren't there.
Oh.
So, like, you could definitely, like, and reading other, like, insomnia experiences, there was definitely something nightmarish you could do with it. So I'd be more interested in that going forward, where, because again, it still mixes the line of reality, whereas is it real, is it happening?
Yeah.
So,
well, they kind of tried that with the remake.
I haven't watched it. So.
Yeah, not like fully. They had the idea of like you having these mini dreams while you're awake, and that kind of like started like they hallucinated the dreams. It wasn't really well, kind of.
Is it worth watching?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
It's not. Like, even that, like, which is the most important part of it, and the most original part of it, everything else is just repeating, apart from Freddy being a child molester. That is not very well, really, explored subject.
It's a shame.
Yeah. But that was certainly, like, that kind of insomnia would be interested to kind of, even if not in a nightmare film, in some other kind of horror film to explore.
Yeah. Because you could definitely do something with that.
Mm.
Because, like, let me tell you, walking to work and hearing a coffee is an interesting experience.
I bet.
Walking to work when you're going to deal with knives in the kitchen is also an interesting experience.
Jesus, why did they let you in?
Literally, I don't remember too much of it, but because I'm not going to go too much into it because it is like a long story, but I basically, on my second day, I went into the GP and said, hey, this is happening, what can you do? And she went, well, you're obviously depressed, here's some antidepressants. And the ones she gave me were, I don't know if you've ever done them, actually. But like, it was like taking an E, it was like an ecstasy pill.
Yeah.
And she said, take one of these before you go to bed. And I went to bed, took one of these, and I was popping off. Like, I had so much energy. And then the next day, walking into work, I was fucked.
Jesus.
So it's an interesting thing.
On that anecdote, what you were saying?
No, it's just one of those. Like, I definitely think there's like something there. Like, you could do something there.
Yeah.
But like you said, whether it isn't or is not nightmare film.
Yeah. I'm gonna write all that down. But yeah, there's our rankings. Let's go through them once more. So 7, the worst nightmare film, is Freddy's Dead. Then we had Dream Child.
Yeah.
Then we had Freddy's Revenge. You had, I didn't, but that's fine. Then we had Dream Master.
You did, I didn't.
New Nightmare.
Yeah.
Dream Warriors and the original. And I'm very happy with this listing. We agreed on a lot of the placement anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah. So overall, what final words on the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise? How do you feel after watching all of them?
Like, I don't think I'll do it again.
Yeah, I wouldn't. There's only a few films in the franchise that I would watch.
Like, I could definitely see myself watching the first and Dream Warriors again. Definitely.
Yeah.
But I feel like I went to the gym at 5 o'clock this morning, got home, had a shower, and started watching Freddy's Dead. And I would not recommend doing that. But as a franchise,
Hmm.
I'm kind of like upset by it. But as a whole, like I am happy this one's exists.
Hmm. Yeah, like I feel we highly recommend the first and the third,
Definitely.
and I highly recommend New Nightmare as well, just to see the
Oh yeah.
screen prototype.
I also feel like they can act as a trilogy
Mm.
because it's all linked by Nancy, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's not in
It's
it.
very nice. Yeah.
She's not in any other films, is she?
No.
No. So like, I feel like you could quite easily go from first Dream Warriors, New Nightmare.
Absolutely. And I say, like, if you have time on your hands, you can watch the second and the fourth. But don't, for the love of God, don't watch Dream Child or Freddy's Dead. They are absolute trash.
And if you do watch them and you do like them, don't listen
What's
to
wrong
the
with you?
podcast. No.
Right, well, this is probably our longest episode so far.
I am looking at the time for this, and I am going to enjoy the editing on this one.
Good luck, bro. You got a long weekend to work on it. No worries. But thank you for this long chat, and I'm glad I had the chance to introduce you to this franchise, even though you're not highly impressed by it, which I understand completely.
Like I am, and I'm not. Like there are things like throughout the franchise where it's great. Like the practical effects in every single film, you cannot knock. Like there's no shit practical effect.
I mean, there are few, but they are like 1%.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say shit. Like there are some like
True.
bad ones, but like
Yeah.
there are some of them like for the most part they hold up.
Yeah. That is true. So, on these opinions, these anecdotes, thank you for listening to Daymares podcast. Next time is Adam's decision. What we talking about?
Oh God, you put me on the spot. I've not thought about this.
Well, we'll let you guys know when we know. It's going to be another 3 weeks or so. We're enjoying the summer and this heat.
Hopefully, I'll remember the date for the next one.
Hopefully, I'll keep reminding you. But yeah, thanks for listening. Have a good night, and remember, do not let
Before we do that,
yeah.
follow us on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
Daymares P.
and YouTube. Subscribe. Yes. I mean, we are at the moment YouTube, so if you haven't subscribed, I'm hurt.
maybe one day we can have another podcast. But right now we don't need money from you, so you get what you get.
Exactly. But I hope you enjoyed. And now, any more, Adam?
No.
Okay. Have a good night, and don't let Freddy Krueger bite.